Puja, greetings. I am Sunu Setna Asra, and welcome to our early morning ancient Egyptian devotional dedicated to Goddess Net and all her mystic forms, gods and goddesses, who are derived from her transcendental essence. The liturgy, which will be able to see on screen, is recited in the ancient Egyptian language, the Medu Neter. English and Brazilian Portuguese translations is provided for you. You can see these translations on screen directly below the hieroglyphic text transliteration. You are welcome to participate by chanting along in your worship space, home, or wherever you may happen to be during the service, or you are also welcome to listen quietly in a contemplative mode. Following the devotional, Uwashu in the Kemetic language, the recitation of the liturgy, and meditation, Uwa in the Kemetic language, we will have a brief wisdom, Rek in the Kemetic language, teaching by Sehu Kepra Ankh, leader and priest of the Shetaut Neter Temple of Net. Before we begin, please remember to mute all devices. We will now begin. Presented on the screen at the moment is a stone carved depiction of the facing pylons of the Temple of Net from the statue of Henat. On the left and right sides are the pylons in which one of the symbols of Goddess Net sits atop of a papyrus standard. Her emblem is her two arrows crossed and tied to her shield. This symbolizes the protection and resurrection of the soul within this place. The temple. Behind the emblems of Net, on both sides, are the flags, which mean Neter, divinity. In the center of the pylons, at the bottom, is the opening to the temple, and above that is a pyramidal structure which symbolizes the four equilateral planes of the universe and the mystic number 4. Above that, at the very top, is the cow hieroglyph, which means rising. It symbolizes the sun rising between the mountains, the Aket symbol, and for the initiates, the emergence of spirit consciousness. Net nesuma punater enine Jedef nesu hatepti net perkeru Menket mert em heb sed net engaim Geri heb hertep SSN em het net Inat ren efcheta Net nesuma puneter emine Jedef nesu hetepti net perkeru Menket mert em heb sed neb enkaim Gary had hertep SSN em het net Inat ren efcheta Net nesuma puneter emine Jedef nesu hatepi net perkeru. Menket mert heb sed neb enkai. Gary heb hertep ssn heb ne. Ina ren f jetta. Bet nesumer puneter emine. Jedef nesu heteptine pokeru. Enket mert heb sed neb enkaen. Gary heb hertep ssn heb ne. Ina ren f jetta. Duamu kerefu benefen heruakuti anate chekera nefer nebuben 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 Ali Jetsekert Asechuhu Uru Nesudi Hatep Net Perkeru Vidi Eskau Abamuneb Nefer Shepsi Et Net Nesudi Hatep Net Perkeru Vidi Eskau Abamuneb Nefer Shepsi Et Net Nesudi Hatep Net Perkeru Didi Eskau Abamuneb Nefer Shepsi Et Net Nesudi Hatep Net Perkeru Didi Eskau Abamuneb Nefer Shepsi Et Net Tua Im Shamsu in Nevager, Seshu in Keperu, Dua Asar, Nebrestau, Paut Netaru, Aat Ami, Netekert, Anetet Hirkekenti, amentet unefer abdu matentu ai hu an nek arati restau. Seteka sekert aku sari nahas. Uber Center set mk def sit netter uni entet hena yash en neter asar erdit endek en ari heru hena herme endes ari heru aus uatepi. Ari sech ab ua netter abu pen ha asar abu pen asar spur en heru. Arit Bert Nehas Sa Wajit Pa Neter Asa Ari Heru Het Em Aset Abuyen Tuchen Meduje Yan Aset Sam Ujat Setep Saher Amseti Enti Amsa Asar Sa Amset Asar Amset Meduje Yan Nebehet Apsheta Ari Besa Her Happy Enti Sa Asar Sa Happy Asar Pu Happy Meduje Yan Net Seduara Semester Ru Neb Ari Maket En Duamutef Enti Amsa Asar Sa Duamutef Asar Pu Duamutef Meduje Yan Circuit Inka Ke Sekedet Sa Ru Neb Ari Maket En Kwebsunef Entet Amsa Asar Sa Kwebsunef Asar Pu Kwebsunef Yana Terda En Duacheta Yana Terda En Duacheta Nebuchadnezzar Anatet hirt Asar Putra Bhakti Sake Setu Sakake Nebuchadnezzar Anatet hirt Asar Putra Bhakti Sake Setu Sakake Nebuchadnezzar, Anatechir Asar, Putra, Makti Sake, Setu Sakake. Nebuchadnezzar, Anatechir Asar, Putra, Makti Sake, Setu Sakake. Adi Jen Sakurt, Adi Duaker, Ekau Uashu, Net Duanet, Sefekera Senue, Net Duanet, Sefekera Senue, Net Duanet, Sefekera Senue. Net duanet, sefekera senue. Move unto a move, move unto move unto move, move unto Om Amun Rapata Om Amun Rapata Om Amun Rapata Om Amun Rapata Om Asara Sehu Om Asara Sehu Om Asara Sehu Om Asara Sehu Keruma Keru Keruma Keru Keruma Keru Keruma Keru Ase 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 Se, 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 oh yeah, nebe, aja, sele, arinete, ama, oh yeah, nebe, aja, sele, arinete, nebe, aja, sele, arinete, ama, oh yeah. Nebe Uja Sede Arinete Duara Nuk Atien Keperu Nuk Atien Keperu Nuk Atien Keperu Nuk Atien Keperu Ereru 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 Watu Heru Do 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 Watu Heru Nuk Nebejer Nuk Nebejer Nuk Nebejer Nuk Nebejer Nefer Remtra and Adon Nefer Remtra and Adon Nefer Remtra and Adon Nefer Remtra and Adon Elohim Nebejer, Makeru, Imba, Nebejer, Makeru, Imba, Nebejer, Makeru, Imba, Nebejer, Duke, Ua, Ua, Duke, Ua, Ua, Duke, Ua, Ua, Duke, Ua, Ua, Nukmat, 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 Mat, Nukmat, 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 Asar, 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 Asar. Ete au ang je uas hena nefu kepitu embaat em deja sunu ayam potep aset uas suja menut nebu sen f sen asar aset etepi suja aoitu yasor nesheshu nebu Emhu, Shemu, Metu, Tau, Sep, Nebu, Nesteta, Ua, Menti, Eru, Kut, Teken, Anat, Tesu, Kem, Ena, Sefa, Ha-Ra, Dijit, Kat, Ena, Asar, Peta, Keperu, Medut, Ra, Kat, Nefi, Asar, Keperu, Uahai, Uaker. Aset, Perke, Nayet, Ret Enal, Seter, Sa Medu and Djehuti, Tep, Ma'at, Empet, Ta Atert, Aset, Neter, Nefer, Ger, Anseske, Sd Al Amend, Sa Enkem, F NN, Au F, Ready F, Nepket, Dit Etep, F her, FT and NF Tawi. Wahai, Walker. Keru ma keru, keru ma keru, keru ma keru, keru ma keru. Nenai mesra, nenai mesra, nenai mesra, nenai mesra. Nukepra emduau, ra emahau, temu ami mesenu. Nukepra emduau, ra emahau, temu ami mesenu. Nukepra emduau, ra emahau, temu ami mesenu. Uahai, uaker. That's nectar, nectar, move, nectar, digestering, zingering, nectar, nectar, move, nectar, digesting, zingering, nectar, nectar, digesting, zingering, nectar, nectar, woo, nectar, digesting, zingering, washedi, wa, defa, emete, ema, emete, emma, er, emete, emete, Uh, 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 tap, 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 tap. Peace, 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 peace. Attempt, dua, attempt.
Puja, greetings everyone. So we are continuing with our examination of the Wadjet, the mystic eye of spiritual intuition. That's intuitional realization of the nature of self. And the reason why we're going through this um, detailed or more detailed examination is because of uh, line one of the text, where we find that Djehuti brings forth the pupils of the eye. So we need to understand exactly what that is and what it means for a spiritual evolution of a human being. So here we are. Um, this is a panel from a coffin um, from one of the museums that we visited. And of relevance to our study is you have Djehuti. This is commonly referred to, this whole scene is commonly referred to as a judgment scene. It's the weighing of the heart of Maat, and we'll go through some of that. We can't do a full distillation into the whole scene because it's a lengthy process. But of relevance to bringing forth the pupil, we have here Djehuti, and he is writing down the outcome of the process that this female spiritual initiate has gone through. And she appears twice. Here she appears at the entrance to the scene, and she has two Ma'at feathers in her bandana. So she's acclaiming the principle of Ma'ati, the 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 Ma'ati process of going through the judgment and the recognition and realization of the the higher truths and the lower truths. What is phenomenal, temporal, and what is a transcendental absolute. She's being supported here by Goddess Amentet. Here you have Anpu, who is actually working the scale. And on top, the apex of the scale is Djehuti in his baboon form. If you recall, Djehuti appears in the boat of Raharakti as a baboon holding the eye of intuition. That's spiritual insight into spiritual nature coming from the divine intellect, while he sits on the pedestal of Ma'at. So the truth of the eye of wisdom. Here we have Anpu, and it says Anpu Amd Nikt Nebtajesser. So he's the Lord of Anpu, uh, who is strength within the and Lord of the sacred land. So he is the strength and the Lord of the sacred land. And the sacred land that is being referred to is this realm of the Duat region. Her personality appears here as the observing soul who is going through the process. the feather of Ma'at, or the Ma'at is on this side. And her feather emblem is etched out, but it's here. So her heart is here. So her heart, her ab is here being weighed against Ma'at. And here you have Ma'at again in the form of Meskent. Meskent is the goddess of rebirth. So basically what it's saying here is that the truth of the outcome will determine the future birth of the person, which is her. So she'll either be born in the world of time and space, or she'll be born in the spirit with Asar, who is in the shrine. And here you have the Amit monster, who's one-third crocodile, lioness, and hippo. So this represents the demonic forces of the unconscious. You know, this is where nightmares, bad dreams, and misfortune comes from the negative aria in the unconscious, the negative karmic basis. And it says about Asar Nebhe, Mir Netra Ankti. So he's Lord Asar, who is Lord of eternity. And he is like the great divine Ankti. What it means, this term Ankti is an epithet of Asar. So what it means is that he's the great divinity manifesting as Ankti. And Ankti relates to the power of the truth of immortality, the spirit that manifests in the forms of time and space, and the immortal spirit that is beyond the failings of death. And Djehuti, Djehuti Neb Netera Seshma'at. So this is Djehuti, Lord Djehuti, the great divine. So he's also the great divine as Asar, and he is writing truth. He's the writer of truth. And the truth that he is writing is encapsulated in his hands. His hands are shy, which means destiny, and renant, which means fortune. So he's writing the fortune and the destiny of this person whose heart is being weighed against truth. So if her heart is lighter than the feather of Ma'at, she's found to be wholly pure. She enters the inner shrine with Asar, and Djehuti is the one that writes down that outcome. He's the writer of truth. If her heart is just as heavy, as balanced with the feather of Ma'at, she transcends physical time and space, but she lives in the Duat region. She lives in the what is commonly referred to as the astral plane. And again, that's the truth of the outcome. So a full cleansing of the unconscious, she goes with Asar. There's still some work to do, uh, but she's gone through a level of purification. She lives in the astral plane. She lives in the Duat, in her Duat body. She found to have not taken on the spiritual journey of life. Then Mesken comes in and causes her to be reborn in the realm of time and space. So someone becomes pregnant with her again. She might manifest as a male personality the next time. She's born into the world of time and space, and she lives among human beings, ignorant human beings, once again, until this personality determines that time and space existence is insufficient from the perspective of inner fulfillment. And then that person takes on the spiritual path of life, take on the Shedi, what we call the Shedi disciplines, the spiritual practices. And then we'll have a different outcome at the end of that life. And it says of her, Ada Amun Shetao Kesu Makiru. So it means that she is under the dominion of the mysteries of witnessing consciousness and that she is flowering into spiritual enlightenment. So in other words, she has taken on the mystic path of the secret inner mystery of witnessing consciousness. So she's on a path of discovering the hidden essence of creator spirit consciousness. So she's blossoming into spiritual enlightenment. Therefore, she has a propitious outcome in the judgment. Notice in her left hand, she's holding two eyes. The eyes that she are holding, what she's doing is that she's showing to Anpu that she has inculcated her witnessing consciousness path to perfection, and that this witnessing consciousness path to perfection is leading her to her aspect as the winged eye. In the shrine with Asar. So, and you notice that this eye has wings, so it relates to the all-encompassing nature of witnessing consciousness that she has discovered that qualifies her to be within the shrine of Asar. So she's showing this to Ampu, saying, Ampu, hey, that this is where I am, this is my qualification, this is the truth of me, my personality. And she has on her head a grease cone. So she's been anointed, divine consciousness. And the idea of Djehuti in the scene is that he has written down this truth. And this is a truth that is not a phenomenal truth. This is a mystical truth that only he can inscribe because his hands represent the destiny and the fortune of every human being. There is something within you that is called your own Djehuti nature, that is a recorder of your deeds, your good deeds and your bad deeds. And it's recording on your conscience. And when a person passes away or in day-to-day life, what Djehuti writes down is what is to comport with the actions that have been uh, written down. So, for example, if your personality is filled with hatred, Djehuti is going to write hatred. Let's say hatred towards uh, a group of people or whatever, just as an example. Hatred towards Black people. And there's a lot of that goes around. Uh, then that person might be born in a situation where Djehuti says, okay, uh, this type of suffering that goes along with that because there's ignorance. Or let's say Djehuti writes down uh, a metaphysical truth about the personality, the metaphysical truth of denying the truth of the divine. So he writes down denying the truth of the divine, and then what is to be the outcome, the fortune and the destiny that is to accompany that. So he just doesn't write down what the person has done or the act. He writes down the outcome of the act, and it's based upon the divine intellect. The point is that this is operating within you outside of your awareness, that everything that a person does, your own inner intellect is recording it, because your own intellect is the observer of your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, your physical acts, your mental acts, and your verbal acts. And the fortune and destiny may may appear as not coinciding with your actions. So let's say you're a person that likes to yell at your wife or something like that. Uh, Nothing may happen to your mouth, but you might get in a car accident and break your leg. These are just scenarios that I'm bringing up, possible outcomes. You may say, well, that outcome doesn't go with what the person has done with his mouth. But then the wife has to take care of you with your broken leg. So then you find yourself being or having to use your mouth in a different way towards the person. These are just small scenarios of how this operates in day-to-day life of a human being. And the point is that none of your acts goes without determination by your own inner psyche. And that is referred to as Djehuti. There's another aspect of your psyche that's involved in this process, and that is the dog, that is Anpu. And Anpu here is working the scales, and he represents discrimination. So Anpu qualifies if your acts were in accord with the absolute truth. It's discriminatory, meaning if your act was accord with absolute truth, or if it was in accord with your own inner egoic delusions. Uh, and then so, and you hear he's working the plum, so he's balancing the scale. So so your own discriminative capacity communicates with your intellect and tells your intellect, hey, this personality, their acts were not in accord with the truth of Asar, the truth of the inner spirit nature of being. And then Djehuti says, okay, uh, let's see what those acts are. So he records those acts, and then he can communicate back to Meskend, and Meskend fulfills the fortune and the destiny of the family that the person is going to be born into if they're going to reincarnate. It's called Uhem Ankh. So you find the person that's your mother and your father, the family that you have been born into, you may think or it may have been told to you that it's a random event. However, uh, based upon an examination of the ancient Egyptian Kemetic mystical system, we find that it is not random at all. In fact, it is very precise. It is not, it's not only precise, it is that it's infallible. There is no imperfection in it of itself as a determinator of the outcome of your life, the family that you're going to be born into, where you're going to be born, the kind of encounters that you will have within your family process. It's all precise. And the point is that is all being orchestrated by your own inner psyche, your own mind. So what do you do about this fundamental problem? Is that to ensure that you can bring both of your eyes and show them to Anpu. Because if your eyes are blinded to the truth of the mystery, the inner secret mystery of your own inner observer consciousness, if your eye is blinded to that, you'll not be able to, if your eyes are blinded to that, you'll not be able to present those eyes to your own discriminatory aspect of your psyche. You will not be able to do it. It will be impossible. The reason why is because there will be too much opacity coming from your ego that is preventing you from presenting your own witnessing consciousness perfection to your discriminatory power. So once she presents her eyes to Anpu, you know how it is when you're like in filial love, like you you love somebody and the sight of them melts your heart. Well, once Anpu sees this, all of the barriers to passing through the Hall of Maati melts away because your own interdiscriminatory capacity uh, cannot do anything but determine that these eyes have reached witnessing consciousness perfection. And so there's a melting away of the tension or the friction that would prevent the person from moving into the inner shrine to be with Asar. And once you're in the inner shrine with Asar, in your eye of perfection, it essentially means that you are one with Asar. You and Asar are essentially the same. An important point to understand is that you're not trying to become Asar, where you're trying to remove the impediments that's preventing you from discovering your own inner spirit divine nature. And in there you have a set and Nebuchadnezzar who is supporting and not they're not only supporting, they're helping to fructify the whole process in a propitious manner for the soul here, which is you in your self-discovery. Here we have Djehuti again, and we have a tricolored Asar, and this is important. Asar in red here represents the dynamic power of spirit. In green, it represents that spirit that is the very essence of creation. And the black here means that spirit soul is absolute consciousness, unfabricated. And here he's known as Asar Nebhe, Nebtper. So Asar, the Lord of eternity, the Lord of this house, meaning this domain of transcendental awareness. And he's Netera, the great divine. And here you have Djehuti, Netera, the great divine. And what you have here is that this personality is the idealized form of the human that is coming into the presence of Asar. And behind him is the hawk the Heru aspect of the idealized person that's coming in to meet Asar. Notice that the idealized person has a beard which matches Asar's beard. So what it means is that this idealized person has discovered his own true divine nature and is being reflected into Asar. So he's discovered himself as that transcendental divine spirit that is the support of all phenomenality, all of nature, and that it is his Heru aspect that has overcome the egoism that was preventing that self-discovery from occurring. And then you have Djehuti again. Wherever you see Djehuti, you're going to see something special. He's bringing the divine eye, the Wajat Neb. So he's bringing the eye of this idealized person whose Harun aspect has discovered its transcendental absolute nature. And Djehuti is saying here, this is what he has done. He has reconfigured his inner awareness of intuitional nature of you, Asar. And remember, Djehuti brings the pupils, but remember the whole eye is 63 over 64. So it's not fully whole and one. So Djehuti is bringing the eye to Asar to make it 64 over 64, to make it one, that missing aspect that cannot be given by an outside force or energy or divinity. It is up to you to fulfill that. And what's fulfilling it is your own inner, a purified intellect. And the key in that is purified. And so all cognitive dissonance regarding spirit nature is removed. And that brings you in tune with absolute consciousness. And that missing portion, therefore, is discovered. How that looks in an actual mystical process is when the meditator, whatever meditation, Kemetic meditation, or I should say Shitautnater meditation practice that you're doing, leads to a mystical absorption in absolute consciousness. And then what happens is that that experience is what fulfills this fraction that has not been, that you cannot get from outside, an outside metaphysical process. Okay, so that'll be it for today. We have a little more to do on this. And so the takeaways from today is that your own inner, so you can't escape from from any acts that you perform, whether they're good or they're bad, because your own intellect is a recorder of your deeds. And how you ensure that your own intellect records a propitious outcome is when you reach a measure of perfection of your own witnessing consciousness nature. And that perfection means that you realize that your witnessing consciousness nature, the basis of it, the essence and source of it, is what the wings represent, transcendental, all-encompassing nature, nebular. And so this psychological framework of your discriminatory power, once you present, and by present I mean it happens synchronously, it automatically. It's not something that you actually do except by inculcating the practice and bringing it to a high level. And then that appears to your discriminatory mind. And your discriminatory mind communicates that to your intellect. And your intellect then informs your higher nature. And then you have a movement inwards to that that awareness of that inner higher nature causes you to reflect your own divine nature to your absolute divine self. And your intellect brings your divine I and presents it to your own absolute nature. So in other words, when you go to meet Asar, you're bringing your eye of intuition with you. In other words, you are the eye of intuition meeting your own absolute nature. Okay. So that'll be it, but I have one thing to show before we go. So I'm going to stop share for now. And then so we finally have the documentary. We're going to show it of the this is the latest book that we did. But we did a documentary on our trip of ancient Egyptian medicine. And we're going to have a showing of the documentary throughout the latter part of March and April and into May. We're going to do it for 7 weeks. And we're going to do it on Tuesday and Thursday. And we're treating it like you could treat it like a movie night with, so it's going to be every Tuesday and Thursday for about 7 weeks. And how you sign up for it is you come to www.kemeticyogassociation.com. You go to more, go to AEM module 2, and you click. And you fill out this form. And it's just like going to a movie. There's a nominal cost. So I'll show you the trailer. Okay. No sound. Let's see. Audio settings. Okay. Can you hear it now? Playing now. I'll play it one more time. So it's a documentary of our trip to Kemet with the AEM students. And there's a lot in it. There's a lot you can learn about ancient Egyptian healing for well-being, for your body, your mind, the inner wisdom of the soul, etc. So how you do it is on the day of the showing, which is every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Maybe just like you go to a movie, you might go 20 minutes early, to buy your ticket, etc. So you just come, fill out the form, submit, or any time during the day. You fill out the form, submit, and then that night you get your link at 7:30, and then we just play it and enjoy. Okay, do everyone. Tomorrow on the Sunday Devotional Worship in Shetaut, there's going to be a special program for Asar Maat's mom. So it will be nice if we're all there. Okay, do everyone. Till meet again. Do it for another wonderful devotional. And I hope these lectures are helpful for you in your spiritual journey. Until we meet again, Hetat.